This is the second half of a video on the mental health startup Reel, a startup that has secured $16 million in funding that I don't believe actually knows what they're doing or what they've gotten into. The first video, it places a spotlight on their erroneous understanding of who they are and what they do. This video is going to document the absence of a basic understanding of online business development and marketing strategy in their space. Let's do it. Organic traffic is your most valuable and important traffic because it's targeted to you and by people that have a specific intent. Organic traffic is your traffic from Google. And what you see there is the last 6 month profile of this startup's organic traffic, and more precisely, a snapshot of their March 2022 volume of organic traffic. That red arrow there, that shows you that they had roughly 4,200 visitors to their site in March. That's very impressive. Note those blue arrows. Look at them as bookends encapsulating March 2022, an amazing month where they more than doubled their organic traffic. This measure of growth this fast is extremely rare, and what's even more rare is this growth starts on the first of the month and ends on the last day of the month, almost as if it was orchestrated and prearranged. The fact is, this has all the earmarkings of non human traffic. How does non human traffic happen? Well, people or businesses are either victims of an unfortunate spam bot attack or they're customers of businesses that sell traffic to conjure a false appearance in reports. When you unpack data, it has to make sense. It has to add up. You can do some unpacking from the outside. You look to the keywords driving traffic, people finding this startup on Google, and there they are. Those are the keywords that served this startup for the month of March. It's that green arrow pointing down, and there's a problem here. Every keyword is connected to their brand, coupled with the total absence of a single keyword aligning with the problems they solve, the services they offer. This startup should have traffic from people searching online for group support online, therapy online, anxiety treatment online, affordable therapy, a pain point. There are no words here connected to resolving a problem. Or, in other words, and in sum, there are no keywords aligned with the intent of someone using Google. And that's how you're found, that's how you're discovered. It's the first stage of every sales funnel, every new patient acquisition funnel. It's done by creating helpful and useful content on your website about a pain point. People will find you if you speak to their pain points. And this startup has done nothing in this basic fundamental aspect of online business development: offer helpful and useful information about group support as a framework or any emotional or psychological pain point. And when you take a look at their top pages, that's them right there. You see the same basic shortcoming. These are the top pages on their site that draws traffic from Google, and it looks like their homepage gets 99% of the traffic, that red arrow there, and they do not have any content that's helpful or useful for someone struggling with a pain point or considering therapy or online therapy. The data is saying this startup has no identity or awareness online as a source of solution for emotional, psychological, or mental pain points away from their branding. Now, let me turn to something very important in online business development and enabling your audience to find you online, and that's the topic of metadata. Websites are programmed with metadata, which is categorically part of technical SEO, and metadata communicates about the general and specific information on your website and the pages to search bots, Google bots, who process it and pass it along to their customers, people using Google in search engines. Metadata is mission critical to online business development, and I mean that literally. So if you go to Google and say, "Is metadata critical?" Google is going to say, well, you see it right there. Google will say, despite the fact that it often goes unnoticed, metadata is the critical underpinning of business. It brings clarity and can facilitate better results. And just so you're clear, let's take a look at what metadata actually looks like. And let's use the leading competitor to this startup, Seven Cups. They are both pursuing the same audience. And if we look at those red arrows there, they all point to components of metadata. So, for example, that lower red arrow at the bottom on the left, it's the description. It says whether you're looking for a therapist or just someone to talk to right now during these difficult times, Seven Cups is a place where you can be heard. So if someone goes to Google and says, I need someone to talk to about a problem, Google is going to direct you to Seven Cups because their metadata inform them of what they do, and this is how Google achieves alignment with their customers. This is lead generation and populating the top of your sales funnel. So you see Seven Cups metadata. Now let's take a look at the metadata of this startup. Let's take a look at their homepage. That's it right there. That's what this startup's meta page communicates to search bots. Absolutely nothing. There is no metadata on their homepage. Or, per the standards of Google, the critical underpinnings of business are missing entirely from this startup's homepage. And this also suggests almost certainly that traffic gain was non human. But this is what's kind of amazing about this startup. They don't actually know what they're doing, yet that did not stop them from raising $16 million. A critical component to online business development is your Google My Business page, especially if you're in New York City with a population of millions that are considered local. Many would argue your Google My Business page is more important than your website. And for top of funnel marketing, lead generation, discovery, that sort of thing, I would not argue otherwise. Well, that what you see there should be this startup's Google My Business page, their real estate to be profiled free by Google. This is showing Google knows there is some kind of business there named Real at that address. They just don't know the website or the nature of the business or anything else about the business. This startup has never taken the 5 minutes it takes to claim their Google My Business page. That's what that red arrow is pointing to. Google is openly asking the public, do you own this business? Google is literally looking for the owners of this business to step up and complete their Google My Business page. Now, once completed, this is what it should look like. That business on the right, called Groupport, that is literally right down the street from this startup, Real. And they offer online group therapy services as well. There you can see they have claimed their Google My Business page and are wisely building up reviews. Those gold stars you see, you can click directly to their website because it's there. This company has it right, Groupport, this company on the right. Now, get this. That company on the right, Groupport, they just received their first round of funding in the fall. They secured $1.5 million. So here you see a business in the same exact vertical space, located literally down the street, that's received less than 1/10 of the funding as this Real startup. Yet they know what they're doing. You can see it. It's right there. Okay, now I'm an analyst. I like to dig into the data, but it's really not that complicated. The health of this startup can be gauged sufficiently at the Apple App Store with the page of their app, and there it is right there. This app was released in July 2021 and has been available for 8.5 months. Note that red arrow pointing to that 125 ratings. This is a legit KPI, key performance indicator. Let's understand what that means and how this applies to all apps at the App Store. That rating is a rough indicator of the popularity and use of your app. A developer can reset that metric with every new release of their app, but it really doesn't make sense to. And you see in that bottom box why. Having few ratings may discourage potential users from downloading your app. So, if this startup manages their app store as most companies do, that 125 metric is an indicator of popularity and use of this app. Yes, there is a black market and you can buy fake reviews, but if you do and get caught, and people do, you're out of business. A legit company would never do that. I do not think this startup has done that. Those reviews are real. Just far, far too few for an app that's been available for 8.5 months. That number should be at the very least at about 800 to show traction, proof of concept. If the organic traffic around this startup were real, it would translate to this metric. The download of the app would be much, much higher than 125. Think about it. If in 1 month you had 4,200 people visit your website and only 1 out of every 20 downloaded your app, that metric would be 210 for March alone. So the two metrics don't square in any way that is helpful to this startup. The organic traffic from Google and the App Store rating, because if that traffic is real, then it's evidence of no interest in exploring your app. If that traffic is non human, then something is rotten in Denmark. Okay, I've done a teardown of this startup. It wasn't hard, it was discouraging. I don't like seeing people lose, and so many of the missteps are just fundamentals. I wish I knew them before they launched or when they had to pivot because most of this could have been stress tested and course corrected before the fact. I really just scratched the surface. I didn't even introduce you to their advertising, which is not well done either. This is Seven Cups 2.0. They're taking on the giant. And when you take on the giant, you have to kill the giant. And there's a strategy to take on Seven Cups, but it's not what they're doing. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share it with a friend. If this is the kind of thing that interests you, definitely subscribe. I'm Lance. This is Therapy Grind. Until next time, take care.